Hello Movie Mavens! Welcome back to another video on the B Movies channel. My name is Bailey and I put the B in movies. I hope you are having a good week. I know we're still some retrograding, some weird stuff's happening. When I set up to record, I had a bunch of weird stuff happen. So I'm glad that I'm here. I'm glad that you're here. I hope you're having a good week. And to start out with the Bailey Babbles, if you are new here, well, actually, before we start with the Bailey Babbles, if you are new here, the B Movies channel is a continuation of the B Movies blog, which is just bmovies.blog over on our website. And so we post new pieces about pop culture, movie reviews, nostalgic things, everything you can think of, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. CST. And yeah, you can find everything over there. And so yeah, hello, welcome. And so if you are new here, I start out every episode with what I like to call the Bailey Babbles. And so this week, and this is going to sound goofy, but my Bailey Babbles is, I just want to talk about the beauty of sitting outside. Because, you know, I sometimes have a social life. I go to the movies quite frequently. And this weekend, I had two different opportunities to just sit outside and read. And it honestly soothed my soul in ways I can't even talk about. And I think that sometimes it's really easy to forget how comforting it is to just go and sit outside and read or put in your headphones or people watch or whatever you want to do. And so my challenge for you is to, if you're able this week, go sit outside, read, people watch, whatever, in a public spot. You know, if there's a park by your house or your apartment, and just chill. Like, obviously be safe, you know, don't go alone at night, be stranger danger, all that stuff, but that may be super obvious, but I promise you will feel better. It made me feel a lot better. So just TLDR, touch grass, you will feel better. And so that is my Bailey Babble for the week, is go outside. So next up, we have our blog roundup. Like I said earlier, we post 5 pieces a week. And this is the part of the video where I just let you know what is waiting for you over on the B Movies blog. So this week, on Monday, excuse me, my allergies have also been horrible, which I'm sure is not correlated to the fact I was outside. This week over on the B Movies blog, we have a spotlight on Justin Long. He, over the past, I would say like 4 to 5 years, has honestly kind of become a scream queen in his own right, between Barbarian, Tusk, the Goosebumps series, just everything. I think that he deserves his own little spotlight for being such a little good scream queen. On Tuesday, we talked about musicals that have a film adaptation. I actually do love musicals, which honestly surprises people about me. I do. But I just threw some of my favorites in there for you. On Wednesday, we talked about William Castle and all of his movie theater gimmicks. If you're not familiar with William Castle, he's the director of 13 Ghosts. He did House on Haunted Hill, which is one of my favorite, the original one, which is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And he would always have all of these little gimmicks. Like with 13 Ghosts, he would have this little, it almost looks like deconstructed 3D glasses, where if you looked through at one point, you could see the ghosts, and if you looked through at another point, you couldn't see the ghosts. And so I just think that's fascinating. On Thursday, we talked about Discovery Kids, which is such a weird thing in nostalgia, but I just grew up with it like the Inn. It's just that programming block with like Darcy's Wildlife, Strange Days at Blake Halsey High. I just grew up with that programming block. And then on Friday, aka this morning, I released what is one of my favorite pieces I've ever written. It made me giggle like Ron Swanson. And if this piece and my Bo Burnham piece on Inside, the first one I ever wrote, are my legacy, I'm fine with it. That is to say, I paired a song from High School Musical with each level of hell. And that's going to be our deep dive. To me, it's just so funny. This concept is so good, and I hope that you enjoy this piece as much as I enjoyed writing it, because I love it very much. So just to recap, this week over on the B Movies blog, You have a spotlight on Justin Long, musicals that have film adaptations, William Castle and his movie theater gimmicks, Discovery Kids, and then pairing a High School Musical song with each level of hell. So that will that will do it for the blog roundup this week. So let's go ahead and go into the Bite Size Sunday teaser. And so Bite Size Sundays are just little reviews. They're things I want to talk about that don't really constitute a full piece, but I still want to put a bit of a spotlight on. And so those are posted on our Instagram, which is just at bmovies channel, same as our YouTube, every Sunday around 8 or 9 a.m. CT, and they only live there. You can't find them on the blog. Whew. And so this week's Bite Size Sunday teaser is I don't watch National Geographic frequently. Okay, I just butchered my own words. Oh my gosh. Let's take it back. Whoo. I don't watch the National Geographic channel frequently, but I don't think this is right. And so that is the teaser for this week's Bite Size Sunday. Again, you can find that on the B Movies Instagram, just over at B Movies channel, same as our YouTube. So, let's go ahead and jump into our deep dive today, which I have 2 things for y'all. And we're going to kick it off with my review of Civil War, Alex Garland's new film. So I don't have like a lot to say about Civil War, but there are things I want to touch on. First and foremost, this isn't a war movie, and that is a hill that I am willing to stand on. This is a movie about journalism. This is a movie about apoliticism. This is a warning about what happens when you become desensitized and dehumanized. And yeah, we unfortunately now live in a time where you can't afford to not have a public opinion. We can no longer, as a public, just receive information. Like, you have to, there are so many atrocities happening in the world that you have to stand up. It's the whole philosophy of, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And so the point of this movie is not to focus on the Civil War that is going on in the U.S. The focus of this movie is on the group of journalists covering it and what happens when you become desensitized, when you dehumanize the victims, when people just become words on a page or, negatives to develop. This is the dangers of that. This is what happens. And, if you no longer vocalize your opinions, you become part of the problem you seek. And so that's why I really liked Civil War, is it does have violence and warfare in it. That's not what I'm saying. But this is not a war movie. This is a movie about journalism. And I would also like to say, I personally think Civil War is a career best for Kirsten Dunst. I think this is one of her best performances. And also, oh my goodness, sorry y'all. And also, we all know I was not a big fan of Priscilla. But I think that this should have been Kaylee Spaney's debut, not Priscilla. Because she is excellent in this movie. She is so good in this movie, and I just think that I just wish that this would have been her debut for sure. And I do think, based on this, that she absolutely could have a major career. But I just think it's unfortunate. Oh my gosh, sorry y'all, that Priscilla was her breakout. I can't rave enough about how the movie was filmed. And there's this really cool technique that Alex Garland implores. I mean, it would have been, he directed it like he had a full team. But that they use this really cool technique where there are times where things are shown through Kirsten Dunst's POV, or when we're looking at her, and it's shot as though we're looking through a camera lens. And I think that really, again, drives home the point that I'm trying to make of, you can't be apolitical in journalism anymore. And that's just kind of the facts. And so I would recommend this movie if you're a writer, if you were a journalist, worked within that field. I would really recommend it, because even me, like, when I say journalism, like, I wrote for school papers and things like that. Like, I never did anything of this caliber. But even to me, just as a writer, sometimes it's so easy to deconstruct a topic and not remember that that's a person or that this is a major event. And so, I mean, we all know that's not really a problem for me to address in my writing, but just, I really enjoyed this movie. It's not on my top, it's not in my top list, but I did really enjoy this movie. So, that is Civil War. It's in theaters now. It just came out on Friday, last Friday, to clarify. And so I would definitely check it out if you can. So next up, I want to talk about the High School Musical piece that I did. And so, for those who don't know, last week I did a piece about Dante's Inferno content, and I wound up pairing movies with each level of hell, kind of lights, camera, album style. And I really enjoyed it. But I just could not let the fact I paired a High School Musical movie with Dante's Inferno go. And so this piece just came to me based off of that. It made me laugh very hard. And again, I am not here to make fun of anyone's beliefs. Like I said last week, I think we talked about this in Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss 2. I'm not here to make fun of anyone's beliefs. I just think that you can talk about these things in a joking and jovial manner. And so, with that being said, let's talk about which High School Musical songs fit each level of hell. So circle 1, I put Limbo as what time is it, because they're stuck in a constructed piece of reality without time. Like Limbo, you're just kind of stuck. Circle 2, Lust, I did the start of something new. And obviously these are teenagers, so we're not talking about in any sort of sexual anything. This is just two people that like each other. Circle 3 is Gluttony, I Want It All. That should speak for itself. Circle 4, Greed as Fabulous, which is one of my favorite movies, which is one of my favorite songs from the High School Musical series, which is obvious because it's about everything that Sharpay wants. Circle 5 is Anger as Scream, which I also think is one of the best songs in the High School Musical franchise. Circle 6, we have Heresy is Breaking Free. That is directly correlated to the Dante's Inferno piece, if you read it. I put Stick to the Status Quo in there, and that was the whole premise for one of the levels. And so this is Breaking Free, which is, them bragging about going against the status quo. For Circle 7 is Violence, We Have Bet On It, which is another one of my favorite songs in this entire franchise. It is one of the goofiest things. Circle 8, Fraud, we have I Don't Dance, which, if you are not familiar, is a song that Corbin Bleu, his character Chad, sings with Ryan, who's played by Lucas Gribble. And they basically spend the entire 3.5 minutes talking about how Chad does not dance while he dances on the baseball field, and they draw comparisons between baseball and dancing. And then Circle 9 is Treachery. I have You Are the Music and Me, Sharpay's version, which I will go on the record now, that version is infinitely better than the regular version of You Are the Music and Me. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. So, yeah, I don't want to spoil it all for you. I had so much fun with this one, y'all. And I really hope you enjoy it the way that I did. I just was kind of out of control, and I thought it was very funny, and I truly hope you enjoy this piece the way that I did. So next up, we have our special features, which are reserved for horror, analog horror, and horror ARG updates. Things I haven't talked about quite yet over on the bmovies blogs, things I might not talk about over on the bmovies blog. So this is just a fun little catch-all special feature portion of this video. And today I have two good ones for you. So, we have some welcome home updates. And Movie Mavens, I would like to apologize to all of you. I was not aware, if you remember, I said, yeah, the website's down. Okay. The URL for Welcome Home has changed. I will put it below. I have updated it in our blog, which the update should be live by today. If not, know that there is an update in the Welcome Home blog coming. So, the actual link for Welcome Home has changed. I will put it below. So, I did not realize some of these updates had happened. But, in my opinion, it's honestly worth the wait. It's good. So first and foremost, when you go to the website now, something is definitely different. Gone are most of the hidden messages and all of the inky blackness that's been creeping in and creeping out from under the door of home. The background seems blown out and like zoomed in, but it's also kind of pulsating, which isn't great. And there are two big updates I want to call out here. One of which is all of the new recipes, and there's like a merchandise deck now, but everything has to do with the holiday they call Homewarming. And Homewarming seems to be kind of their version of Christmas, would be the holiday that I'd say is the most similar. And so in order of Homewarming, there's a lot of new merchandise. Like there are some recipe cards and there are some toys, and these look like they have been ripped directly out of a catalog from the 70s. It's the amount of detail and work that goes into this project. I'm floored. Like, Clown, you and your collaborators, just my God. So we have a lot of new recipes, we have new merch, and they just, sure, like, some of them are insane recipes, like all of Bartleby's, like, 25 hot dogs you can make, or Julie has a gelatin mold with, like, an entire cup of cocoa, like, in it, like, the mug and all, like, in the Jell-O mold. But when you take the absurdity aside, this is pure late 70s, early 80s nostalgia. I wasn't born until 92, but see, my parents were older, and my sister's 15 years older than me, and it just gives me that little nostalgia. And as wonderful as all of these are, the real meat and potatoes of this update lie within a hidden website called awayfrompryingeyes.net. And just to be very honest, how I found out about these updates was from another creator. We've talked about this, like, I have very mixed feelings about Nightmind, but I do think a lot of his content is very good. And so he did post an update video, and that's how I found out there were even updates. So pieces of this are found along the website, and you have to do some decoding. So I will put the link below if you want to go ahead and visit it. But if you want to decode yourself, feel free to look around the website and go for it. So there is a hidden website called awayfrompryingeyes.net. And it seems as though a member of the restoration team, who is simply signing off as W, has broken away from the pack and is making some alarming discoveries, and is coming forward with those discoveries. These discoveries include a recorded call they received from Wally himself, and a 22-minute video that implores a multitude of animated and live-action puppet mediums that is extremely telling, and it's so good. So, for the phone call, this member of the restoration team is claiming, as we know on the website, Wally's button never works, right? So they're claiming why the audio is not available is because the audio is not consistent, or there is no audio, and then they let us know that the phone sometimes rings for them. And so on this particular instance, they were able to record the phone call. And for the most part, it's regular creepy Wally banter. But he sings this song, Toyland, where he talks about, like, once you see it, you basically, like, you're never going to be the same. You can't go back. And so keep that in mind. Put a pin in that for a second. And so the other part, and this is what I think is the biggest and most telling, ambitious, beautiful update we've received so far, is the video. So the video is under the commercials tab, and again, I'll link I'll link everything below. And so for this video, as someone whose family heirloom, as you all know, is the 1985 CBS Halloween lineup on VHS recorded, this warmed my heart in so many ways. Like, the quality of this is next level. There are all different types of animation. There's storyboard. There's live action, like puppetry. It's incredible. It's truly incredible. And to just think about how much work and how much passion went into this, it warms my heart. And I wish y'all nothing but the best, and I hope everything is good. And I can't wait to see what comes next. But the other part of this video is we learn a lot. And by that I mean through some of these commercials and through like the video clips we see, if we ever had any lingering suspicions that home wasn't normal and that the neighborhood was not normal, this quells any of that. Like, that just, we can be certain that something is not right here. So the pieces I really want to call out throughout the commercials, I really want to call out, there's a song called Whose Kid Is This? And I think, and it may just be in there for a joke because it's funny, but to me, this alludes to a couple of things. One, that Welcome Home is indeed a universe. It's not just a children's show. And secondly, I believe that at some point that people get, like, you get there through, Wally mentioned Toyland earlier, there is a way to get into this neighborhood. And so I personally think that's what it's alluding to. The second thing I want to call attention to is there is a sleep aid commercial. And on the pill bottle, there are eyes, the same eyes we saw in like the television static that we've seen all around this website. There are eyes. They also stress the importance of dreaming. And so I do believe there is something about, and this will come back in just a second, there is something about putting people into some sort of catatonic state. And that's how Wally feeds, that's how they get past the barriers of Toyland. There's something with this sleep aid commercial. Fully. I think that is a big one to pay attention to. So now, let's get to the big reveal, which seems to be footage from Welcome Home. So Eddie is at the post office, Eddie the mailman, and he just kind of starts losing it a little bit because no one has needed him to deliver anything all day, and he's just been stuck at the post office by himself. And it seems like he needs to have something to do, right? Like, it keeps him distracted from something. So after learning that the rest of the neighborhood made his deliveries for him, Eddie joins them for Homewarming at Wally's at home. And when Eddie is sitting there, Eddie seems to reach past, I don't know if you'd call it the fourth wall. I don't know exactly what you would call this, but he basically deconstructs his own reality. And he starts to see the neighborhood and home for what they truly are, like Wally. And we know that Sally has some sort of awareness right after the Halloween record that they have. Eddie also seems to glimpse the Toyland that Wally refers to in the song during his phone call with W. And in the song, Wally says, once you pass its borders, you can never return. And we can tell by the crazy things that Eddie is seeing that Toyland is in. He has seen Toyland. And is this what Eddie saw? Is this why he is notably absent from some of the merchandise on the website? And the video ends with Frank appearing to capture a glimpse of something as well. I'm not 100% sure. There's like a red shadow, which to me, the background currently on the website emulates that pulsing that we see in the video. And the video ends with Frank, that kind of red shadow overlaid on Frank, while he's trying to wake Eddie up, who appears to be in some sort of like catatonic state. And I think that if you remember on Clown's website, Frank was holding that red screen. I think it's alluding to this. I think this weird red pulsating thing that they see, I think it's home, or it's an entity within the neighborhood. And I think that's what all the red is alluding to. And y'all, I'm so excited. Like, this is one of the coolest horror ARGs I've ever seen. Like, the care, the meticulous nature, this is so cool. Like, Clown, I cannot give you and your collaborators enough praise. Like, I can't. And I don't want to fully ruin this video for you because I think it deserves the watch, but there is a lot to take away here. And like I said, I will be updating our Welcome Home blog with all of this info. I will put the new site link below. I will go ahead and link to the Welcome Home blog below because it should be up. I'm recording this a day or two earlier than I usually do. And I'll put all the links below. So, y'all, I'm excited. I'm so excited. And so the next thing and the last thing I want to talk about in the special features is Vintage 8 made a video a couple weeks back that kind of serves as a behind-the-scenes video for Married to a Sleepwalker called How I Made a $500 Feature Film Only to Discover I Should Have Made a YouTube Series Instead. And I want to talk about this for two reasons. First, we covered Married to a Sleepwalker here on B Movies. We all know I'm a big fan of it. You know, Elliot and I are we both love Vintage 8. And I think this is a really cool way to, like, see the sausage making of the series. You know, there's interviews with the cast, and I think that it's very cool. But secondly, I think this is a really cool look at the creative process as a whole and learning to pivot. And what I mean by that is, as a writer, there have been times I've been fixated on a piece or a topic or even a line that just isn't working. And something you have to learn as a creative is when to let it go. And what I mean by that is, if a character is just not working, if a plot line is just not working, if something is not working and your editor is repeatedly telling you it's not working, or people are repeatedly giving you feedback on it, don't be afraid to let it go. Because oftentimes, either A, that idea will just pivot into something even better, or like pave the way for bigger and better things, or you can come back to it later. Maybe it's not a now thing, maybe it's a later thing. And, you know, like in that same vein, like there are sometimes going to be projects that you love or a piece you love that people don't feel the same way about, and that's okay. Because there is an audience for it somewhere, and even if that audience is an audience of one, it is just you, that's okay. And so, Vintage 8, like, thank you for sharing all of this with us, because I think it's really cool to see, and, you know, to have that realization of, like, this would be better as an analog horror series than as a feature film. And I think that that's a really important takeaway, and I think it's really important for us as creatives to share things like this, because it is okay to pivot. Sometimes things don't work, and sometimes, you know what, sometimes things fail, and that's okay. You know, like I'm reading right now, and there's definitely going to be There's definitely going to be a piece. Y'all are going to be sick of me. I'm reading the Indian Lake trilogy right now. I've read My Heart is a Chainsaw, which is now one of my favorite books of all time. I am halfway through Don't Fear the Reaper. I'm obsessed. But see, Stephen Graham Jones even talks about how Stephen Graham Jones or Stephen Graham Johnson. Oh my god, the author of the Indian Lake trilogy, because my brain is just not working. He did an interview with Shelby Novak from Scare You to Sleep in one of the peeps from the Losers Club podcast, I believe. And he was talking about, and he talks about it in the acknowledgments of My Heart is a Chainsaw too, about like how when this even started, Jade wasn't even in it. And, you know, to think about now, like how she is the center of this universe is crazy. And so, you know, this is something he came back to, and like My Heart is a Chainsaw did not exist the way it does now for a very long time. It was way different. And so, like, just thank you, Vintage 8. Like, thank you for sharing this with us, because I do think the message here is very good, and I think that it's something people need to hear. And so I just wanted to touch on that. As always, I'll link the video below. I will tag Vintage 8's channel. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth the watch, especially if you did watch the series with me. I think it's more than worth the watch. So last up we have subtitles, which are just little pieces of news from around the internet, and I only really have two for y'all today, which is the trailer for Maxine is out. If you've not watched it, definitely watch it. I have already got to see it on the big screen, fortunately, because they showed it before Civil War, since it's also A24. Super pumped to see the conclusion of this trilogy. And then Paramount has confirmed that a new live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie is in development, following the success of last year's animated film. I loved, if you did not see the Ninja Turtle movie that came out last year, I personally loved it. And I think the animation style is very cool. But yeah, that is all I have for y'all today. So to go ahead and wrap it all up, follow me on Instagram at Lisa_Frankenstein_. Follow Elliot at reading.with.red. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at bmovies_channel. Be sure to subscribe to us. If you're not subscribed, it is free. Feel free to give us a like if you feel so inclined, and a comment if you're feeling frisky. But yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful week. All of that jazz, like Bailey Sarian would say, make good choices, and all that's left to do is fade to black.